Okay, we are studying helical bevel, worm and worm gears. In the previous lectures, we have seen introduction to the helical gears, helical gear terminology, formative number of teeth, or the concept of equivalence per gear in normal plane. And we have gone through the force analysis of helical gears and solved some numericals on helical gears. We have started with the spiral gears. We have derived some equations. Equation for shaft angle, velocity ratio, sliding velocity and center distance for spiral gears. Now in today's lecture we will derive the equation for efficiency of spiral gears. Okay. This question is asked number of times in the exam. Okay, derive the equation for efficiency of spiral gears for 6 to 8 marks. Now why we need to find out the efficiency of spiral gears? This is the reason of that. In case of spiral gears, we have considerable sliding action between two mating teeth. And this will cause the power loss. So finding the efficiency of spiral gears becomes necessary in order to determine the amount of power lost. Okay. So that we can reduce the friction as much as possible. We have drawn this diagram. Those we have not drawn in the last lecture, please proceed quickly. This is the top view of the spiral gear. Then draw the transverse plane TT, which is the plane of rotation of the gear. The gear is rotating in vertical plane, and in the horizontal plane, when viewed in the top view, it will look like this. So actually the gear is rotating in plane TT, transverse plane, which is vertical plane. Draw the axis of the gear. Say this is the top view of gear 1. So I have named this axis as axis 1. Then draw the helix for gear 1. Helix means teeth of gear 1, which is inclined to the axis of gear 1. And we know that inclination of teeth with the axis of gear is nothing but the helix angle. So mark the helix angle of gear 1 as alpha 1. Okay, alpha 1 is the helix angle of gear 1, that is inclination of teeth of gear 1 with the axis of gear 1. Then draw the top view of gear 2, which is in mesh with gear 1. When you draw this view, the portion of gear 1 which lies below this will be the dotted one. Okay, so draw these lines as dotted lines. So this portion of gear 1 is hidden below the gear 2. Mark the pitch point P. Then draw the transverse plane for gear 2, which is the plane of rotation of gear 2. Okay. Then mark the axis for gear 2, axis about which the gear 2 is rotating. Okay. Mark axis 2. Which is shown in green color. Okay. Then helix angle of gear 2 alpha 2, which is the angle of inclination of teeth on gear 2 with the axis of gear 2. This is the line or common tangent along which the teeth on both the gears meet each other tangentially. So both the mating teeth are along this line TT. So I have marked the angle from this plane to the axis of gear 2 as alpha 2, and angle from the same plane with the axis of gear 1 as alpha 1. Okay, axis of inclination of teeth with the angle of inclination of teeth with the corresponding axis are the helix angles. And both the teeth meet each other tangentially along the common tangent TT. Okay, done. Now mark the common tangent TT, which is shown in yellow color. This is the line along which a pair of teeth meet each other tangentially. Now we know that, read this, teeth of mating gears will slide relative to each other along the common tangent TT. We have seen this number of times. I have explained you. We have studied this thing while studying the involute gear tooth action. Say these are the two profiles which are in contact with each other. If we draw the common normal NN at the point of contact, this point of contact between a pair of teeth for both the gears will have same velocity in magnitude and direction. So the point of contact moves along this common normal. Okay, from beginning of engagement to the end of engagement, and simultaneously at the same time both the teeth are having different velocities. That means teeth 1 is sliding relative to teeth 2. So sliding velocity of teeth 1, if it is in this direction, the sliding velocity of teeth 2 will be in opposite direction because of relative motion. They are sliding with respect to each other. Okay, and both the teeth will slide along this common tangent TT, and that is what is written here. Teeth of mating gears will slide relative to each other along the common tangent TT. Okay, मग काय होतं, when one teeth slides relative to each other, it will apply some sliding force, or sliding forces will be generated between two teeth. Okay, and at the same time the frictional forces will also be generated in opposite directions. Correct, frictional forces will be generated in opposite directions. So let us mark the sliding forces for both the gears and the corresponding frictional forces. Okay, so this is Fs1, sliding force due to gear 1 exerted on gear 2, and let us suppose that this sliding force acts along the common tangent in this direction. Of course the sliding forces will act along the common tangent because both the teeth are sliding along common tangent TT. So the corresponding forces will also act along the same plane. So show Fs1 as the sliding force of gear 1. We are assuming that that force is acting in this direction. Now the corresponding frictional force will act in opposite direction to Fs1, correct? So on the opposite side, show Fr1, which is the frictional force arised as a result of sliding force Fs1, and both the forces will act in opposite direction. Now Fs2, note the direction of Fs1 and Fs2. Fs1 must act in opposite direction to Fs2 because sliding velocities of both the gears with respect to each other will act in opposite direction. So Fs1 is shown in opposite direction, Fs2 is shown in opposite direction to Fs1 along the common tangent. Now the resulting frictional force generated as a result of Fs2 will act in opposite direction to Fs2. So show the corresponding frictional force Fr2 which will act opposite to Fs2. Okay, so we have shown the resulting sliding forces exerted by gear 1 and gear 2, that is Fs1 and Fs2, and the corresponding frictional forces in opposite directions of Fs1 and Fs2. Now, frictional forces will induce the normal reaction between contacting surfaces, and that normal reaction will act in normal plane. Now, how this comes? If you remember the unit number 2 from Theory of Motions 1, there we have studied the of chapter on friction. Okay, so let us revise that. If you don't remember, we'll revise it. So draw the common normal at the point of contact N. This is normal to the common tangent TT. Okay. Now these frictional forces Fr1 and Fr2 will produce the normal reaction, and that normal reaction will act along this normal plane NN. So now we need the normal plane NN to show the normal reaction between the contacting surfaces. Okay. So draw the common normal at the point of contact. This is perpendicular to the common tangent TT. Okay. Now we know that the angle between common normal and the transverse plane, or the normal plane and transverse plane, is helix angle. We have seen this number of times. So angle of inclination of transverse plane of gear 2 with the normal plane is helix angle alpha 2. So mark the helix angle alpha 2 as the angle of inclination between the transverse plane of gear 2 and the normal plane. So mark the angle of the angle between transverse plane of gear 2 and normal plane as helix angle alpha 2. Similarly, angle between transverse plane of gear 1 and the common normal NN will be helix angle alpha 1. Correct. Angle between transverse plane and normal plane is equals to helix angle. So mark these corresponding helix angles. Now let us show the normal reaction Rn, which is the result of frictional forces between contacting surfaces. And this normal reaction will act in normal plane Nn. To show the normal reaction Rn acting along the normal plane. Okay, normal reaction is the result of frictional forces, and we have seen in the during while studying friction that normal reactions are always normal to the contacting surfaces. Our contacting surfaces are along TT, so normal reaction will be perpendicular to TT. That is, they will act along the common normal NN, which is also perpendicular to common tangent TT. So show this Rn. You have to show Rn on both the sides. Okay, normal reaction between contacting surfaces. So now look at the slide. जर कोणाला हे माहिती नसेल तर we will try to explain this. What is normal reaction? Consider a block placed on flat surface having sufficient roughness, what will happen? The block will exert the reaction equals to its weight on the flat surface on which it is resting. आता याचं काय होईल? The flat surface will exert the reacting force in opposite direction on the rectangular block. This reacting force is called as normal reaction and it is always perpendicular to the contacting surfaces. Now if you apply the force F as an attempt to move the block towards right, what will happen? Frictional forces will be generated in opposite direction and these frictional forces will prevent the motion of the block in the direction of applied force F up to the limit of limiting force of friction. Okay. As we go on increasing the applied force F, Fr will go on increasing at the same rate and it will balance F, and this will prevent the movement of rectangular block in the direction of applied force F. पण याला limit आहे. When Fr reaches the value of Fr max, that is, it reaches the value of static friction, the block will begin its motion in the direction of applied force. Block will begin its motion in the direction of applied force. Now what I am trying to explain you is that, now remember, F and W are the applied forces. These are the forces applied by rectangular block on the flat surface. And the forces shown in red color, Rn and Fr, are the reacting forces. These are the reactions offered by, or these are the reactions offered to the applied forces F and W. Correct. Now if you find, first thing you will notice that this Rn is perpendicular to the contacting surfaces, which we have shown here. Rn acts along the normal plane. Next, if you find out the resultant of these reacting forces Fr and Rn, this resultant reacting force R is always inclined to the normal direction by friction angle phi. Correct? Resultant reacting force R, which is the resultant of reacting forces Rn and frictional force Fr, is always inclined to the normal reaction Rn at an angle phi, where phi is the friction angle. आता आपल्याला we have to apply this for spiral gears. Okay, we have to apply this for spiral gears. So what we have, the total reacting force R will act along the plane which is inclined at angle phi to the normal force Rn. So let us draw this force. Okay, so draw the green line inclined at angle phi to the normal plane Nn. So green line represents the plane in which the total reacting force R will act. Correct? Green line represents the plane in which the total reacting force R will act. This green plane is inclined at angle phi to the normal plane Nn, along which the normal reaction Rn is there. Okay. Now show the total reacting force R in this plane, in green plane. So this is R. You have to draw the forces in opposite direction, and this is R. Total reacting force for both the gears acting in the plane which is inclined by friction angle to the normal plane. Okay. Now read this. Let us suppose that Ft1 is the tangential force applied by the driving gear. Okay, because torque is produced as the result of tangential force, correct? This is Ft into the pitch circle radius r will produce the torque which will result in rotation of corresponding gears, correct? And this Ft is acting tangential to the pitch circle or pitch surface. So we will show the force Ft1 exerted by driving gear on the driven gear. This force is acting tangentially, that is in the transverse plane. Okay. So show the force Ft1 which is tangential to this cylindrical pitch surface of gear 1, and show this Ft1 in the transverse plane. So Ft1 is the tangential force applied by driving gear on the driven gear. Now what will happen if a driving gear applies the force Ft1 on the driven gear? So the driven gear will oppose this force. It will resist this force. Okay. And that resisting force Ft2 will act tangential to the driven gear. So show Ft2 tangential to the driven gear, which is acting in the transverse plane of gear 2. Okay. Ft2 will oppose Ft1. Both the forces will act tangentially on the respective pitch cylinders. Now we have taken the case of same hand of helix angles. Both the gears in mesh are having same hand of helix. Say left hand or right hand. And for this case we know that shaft angle is the sum of helix angles of both the gears. So write down theta is equals to alpha 1 plus alpha 2. Okay. For our case theta equals to alpha 1 plus alpha 2. Now we will mark the axial forces for the corresponding gears, which are called as axial thrust. So let us say Fa1 is the axial thrust acting on the driving gear. Now axial thrust acts parallel to the axis of gear, right? So this is our axis 1, vertical axis for gear 1. So Fa1 will act in the plane parallel to this axis 1. So draw this line parallel to the axis of gear 1. So this is the plane in which Fa1 will act parallel to the axis of gear 1. So let us show Fa1 axial thrust on gear 1 acting parallel to the axis of gear 1. Similarly, we will show Fa2 axial thrust on driven gear which will be parallel to axis 2. Okay, Fa2 parallel to the axis of gear 2. So show Fa2 parallel to the axis of gear 2. Now we will note one thing, that Fa1 is perpendicular to the transverse plane or the force Ft1, and Fa2 is perpendicular to the transverse plane of gear 2, or Fa2 is perpendicular to force Ft2, right? Because transverse plane is always perpendicular to the axis of gear, and Fa1 and Fa2 are parallel to the axis of both the gears. So Fa1 will be perpendicular to transverse plane 1 and Fa2 will be perpendicular to transverse plane 2. Now we will derive some equations from these two vector triangles. Okay. आता बाकीचे सगळे विसरून जायचं. You will only concentrate on these vector triangles consisting of all these forces. Now first relation we will write down is from triangle ABP, this one, which is right angle at A. So from this triangle we get ft1 is equals to r cos of alpha 1 minus phi. Angle at P, this is angle alpha 1 minus phi, correct? Angle at P is alpha 1 minus phi. So cos of this angle alpha 1 minus phi is adjacent side ft1 divided by hypotenuse r. So we have ft1 equals to r cos of alpha 1 minus phi from triangle ABP. Okay, it's very simple. Now take this triangle, triangle CPD, this one, triangle CPD. Now angle at P is alpha 2 plus phi, correct? Angle as P is alpha 2 plus phi. So from this we can find out the relation between ft2 and r. This is the right angle triangle at C. Hypotenuse is r. So what we get? Cos of alpha 2 plus phi is equals to adjacent side ft2 divided by hypotenuse capital R. Correct? Simple trigonometry. So we have ft2 is equals to r cos of alpha 2 plus phi. Call this as equation number 1 and equation number 2. ft1 as equation number 1 and ft2 equation number 2. Okay, so what we have with us these two relations. Ft1 is equals to r cos of alpha 1 minus phi and ft2 is equals to r cos of alpha 2 plus phi from simple trigonometry. So आपण काय केलं आहे, एवढ्या वेळ जी अर्धा तास डायग्राम काढली ती फक्त in order to obtain these two relations. Okay, and if this question is asked in your examination, 30% of your marks will be reserved for this diagram. So it's very important to get clear the concept of this diagram. So ft1 is equals to r cos of alpha 1 minus phi and ft2 is equals to r cos of alpha 2 plus phi. Now we are interested in finding out the efficiency of spiral gears. So efficiency is power output upon power input, right? We know this. So power output 2 pi nt upon 60. N is the speed of driven gear, T the torque acting on the driven gear. So write N2 and T2. So 2 pi N2 into T2 divided by 60 will give the power on output gear or the driven gear. Similarly, power on the input gear is 2 pi N1 T1 upon 60, where N1 is the speed of input gear or driving gear and T1 is the torque acting on the driving gear. Now simplify this equation. What we get? 60 cancels. 2 pi goes away. 2 pi gela, 60 gela. What we get? Efficiency is equals to N2 T2 upon N1 T1. Right? N2 is the speed of driven gear, T2 is the torque on driven gear, N1 is the speed of driving gear, and T1 is the torque on driving gear. Next, what we can write? T2 torque on driven gear is tangential force Ft2 on driven gear into the pitch circle radius of driven gear. Correct? I have shown this to you number of times. Tangential force into the pitch circle radius will produce the torque to rotate the gear. So T2 is Ft2 into R2. Similarly, T1 is Ft1 into R1. Okay. Now rewrite this equation. R2 बाहेर घ्या. Now in place of R2 we can safely write D2, pitch circle diameters. Instead of pitch circle radius we can write pitch circle diameters, because D2 is twice R2 and D1 is twice R1. So write this, efficiency is equals to now N2 into D2 and N1 into D1, where D काय आहे, pitch circle diameters. Okay, we have this. Now MT1 is the transverse module of gear 1, is the ratio of pitch circle diameter to the number of teeth on gear 1. So MT1 is D1 by T1 and MT2 is D2 by T2 for spiral gears. Transverse module is different for two mating gears. आता काय करायचं मग, for D1 write MT1 into T1 and for D2 you can substitute MT2 into T2. आपण कुठे चाललेलो आहे, we are trying to induce the common terms for both the gears in the equation, so that our equation will have minimum number of known parameters or minimum number of unknown parameters. Okay, minimum number of unknown parameters. So substitute MT2 into T2 for D2 and MT1 into T1 for D1. त्याच्या पुढे काय करू शकतो आपण, what we can do, let us simplify further. So gear ratio is equals to T2 by T1 equals to N1 by N2 for spiral gears, correct? मग याच्यावरून काय मिळेल, N2 into T2 is equals to N1 into T1. From this what we get, N2 into T2 is equals to N1 into T1. म्हणजे काय होईल, this thing will vanish with this, correct? N2 into T2 is equals to N1 into T1 from the equation of gear ratio. So let us put this in our equation. We have done this left side, consider right side of the slide. The last equation लिहून घ्या. Okay, what we get, what we remain with when we remove this N2 into T2 and N1 into T1, we have with us MT2 into FT2 divided by MT1 into FT1. Now let us get rid of this MT2 and MT1 because both are related by common term Mn, normal module. So substitute Mn upon cos of alpha 2 for MT2 and Mn upon cos of alpha 1 for MT1, because we know that both the gears will share common normal module or same normal module. So Mn is equals to what we have, MT1 cos of alpha 1, and this is also equals to MT2 cos of alpha 2 for spiral gears. Even though the transverse module for both the spiral gears is different, they must share same normal module. So using these two equations, we have written Mn upon cos of alpha 2 for MT2 and Mn upon cos of alpha 1 for MT1. So Mn गेला. So we get this equation for efficiency. Efficiency is equals to cos of alpha 1 into Ft2 upon cos of alpha 2 into Ft1. Call this as equation number 3. So we have equation in terms of helix angles and the tangential forces. आता काय करायला लागेल आपल्याला, we will substitute the values of tangential forces which we have derived from the equation before in order to obtain the final equation. So we have Ft1 equals to r cos of alpha 1 minus phi in equation 1. ft2 is equals to r cos of alpha 2 plus phi in equation 2, and we have this equation number 3 with us. So now simply put these values in equation number 3, values of ft1 and ft2, ft2 in numerator and ft1 in denominator. कुणाला काही डाऊट येत असेल, इफ कुणाला काही क्वेरी आली मध्येच, तर यू आर फ्री टू आस्क, मध्येच विचारायचं, डोळे दाखवून बसू नका. कोणत्याही स्टेपला प्रॉब्लेम आला तर यू कॅन आस्क ॲट दॅट मोमेंट ओनली. केले substitute? Now after this r will get cancelled. R is in numerator, R is in denominator. So what we get? Efficiency is equals to cos of alpha 1 into cos of alpha 2 plus phi divided by cos of alpha 2 into cos of alpha 1 minus phi. याला चौकोन करून ठेवा. This is the equation. हे equation लक्षात ठेवलं तरी चालेल as the final equation for efficiency of spiral gears. Of course we are going to expand this equation further, पण हे पण लक्षात ठेवा, because we are going to use this equation to derive some equations for worm gears. So याला नोट करून ठेवा, equation for efficiency of spiral gears. Now let us expand this. Expand करा. कोण करते? Cos A into cos B is equals to cos A cos B is equals to काय सांगा? नाही. Cos A cos B is equals to no असं कसं असेल रे? Mathematics, trigonometry, cos A into cos B. तू कशाला घेतला मग? cos A plus B plus cos A minus B अपॉन 2 काय गरज नाही त्याची. cos A plus B plus cos A minus B करून टाका इथं. चला लिहून टाका. टेल मी द फायनल इक्वेशन फॉर इफिशियन्सी. cos A cos B is cos A plus B म्हणजे alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus phi plus cos A minus B alpha 1 minus alpha 2 minus phi. Same thing in the denominator. So you will get this. Efficiency is cos of alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus phi plus cos of alpha 1 plus alpha 2 minus alpha 2 minus phi, आणि तसंच खाली येईल. Okay. Now next we will introduce the term theta, shaft angle, which is the input parameter, which is always known to us. थीटा काय आहे आपला? अल्फा 1 प्लस अल्फा 2 इज थीटा. मग ही जे आहे इन न्यूमरेटर फॉर द फर्स्ट टर्म अल्फा 1 प्लस अल्फा 2 in numerator as well as denominator, you can substitute theta for this to get the final equation. So efficiency is equals to cos of theta plus phi plus cos of alpha 1 minus alpha 2 minus phi divided by cos of theta minus phi, whatever it is. Write this equation. Call this as the equation for efficiency of spiral gears. I have purposefully taken this derivation slowly. हा बऱ्याच वेळेस क्वेश्चन विचारलेला आहे. तर हे इक्वेशन लक्षात ठेवायचं, किंवा कोणतं इक्वेशन लक्षात ठेवायचं? दिस वन. दोन्ही इक्वेशन लिहून ठेवा शेजारी शेजारी. इफिशियन्सी ऑफ स्पायरल गियर्स. or this one in terms of theta. Okay. Now if you want to further simplify this equation, you can do it, of course. काय करू शकता तुम्ही सांगा? हे डिनॉमिनेटर मध्ये जे आहे ना, cos of अल्फा 2 मायनस अल्फा 1 प्लस फाय, त्याच्या जागेवर आपण असं पण लिहू शकतो, अल्फा 1 मायनस अल्फा 2 मायनस फाय, जसं की न्यूमरेटरमध्ये आहे, बिकॉज कॉस ऑफ मायनस थीटा इज इक्वल्स टू कॉस थीटा. करेक्ट. म्हणजे काय होईल, दिस टर्म इथं येईल, बोथ द टर्म्स विल बी सेम. मग तुम्हाला लक्षात फक्त काय ठेवायचं आहे, इथं थीटा मायनस फाय आहे आणि इथं थीटा प्लस फाय आहे. या दोन्ही टर्म तुम्ही सेम लिहू शकता, बिकॉज कॉस ऑफ मायनस थीटा इज इक्वल्स टू कॉस ऑफ थीटा. ओके. इथं तुम्ही अल्फा 1 मायनस अल्फा 2 मायनस फाय पण लिहू शकता, बिकॉज कॉस ऑफ मायनस थीटा इज इक्वल्स टू कॉस ऑफ थीटा. ठीक आहे. सो दिस इज द efficiency of spiral gears. Now for maximum efficiency we'll find out the condition for maximum efficiency. काय कंडिशन असायला पाहिजे, थीटा इज कॉन्स्टंट, फाय इज कॉन्स्टंट. थीटा काय आहे, शाफ्ट अँगल, इट इज कॉन्स्टंट. फाय इज फ्रिक्शन अँगल, प्रेशर अँगल नाही बरं का. नोट वन थिंग, ऑल ऑफ यू लिसन केअरफुली, फाय इज नॉट द प्रेशर अँगल. इफिशियन्सीच्या इक्वेशन मध्ये फाय इज नॉट द प्रेशर अँगल. फाय काय असायला पाहिजे, इज द फ्रिक्शन अँगल. बोथ दीज टर्म्स आर कॉन्स्टंट, मग याचा काय फरक पडणार नाही, हे कॉन्स्टंट राहणार. मग मला सांगा, इन ऑर्डर टू गेट द मॅक्सिमम इफिशियन्सी युअर न्यूमरेटर शुड बी मॅक्सिमम. न्यूमरेटर मॅक्सिमम असायला पाहिजे, म्हणजे कॉस ऑफ अल्फा 1 मायनस अल्फा 2 मायनस फाय मॅक्सिमम असायला पाहिजे. आणि कॉसची मॅक्सिमम व्हॅल्यू किती असते, 1. ती केव्हा मिळेल, वेन अल्फा 1 मायनस अल्फा 2 मायनस फाय इज इक्वल्स टू 0. Cos of 0 is 1. So this is the condition for maximum efficiency. Correct. So for maximum efficiency we have to follow this. Cos of alpha 1 minus alpha 2 minus phi should be maximum. Current left hand side theta plus phi is constant. So cos of alpha 1 minus alpha 2 minus phi, which is in numerator, must be maximum. And this will be maximum when its value is equals to 1. And its value will be 1 when the value of angle is equals to 0. So to get the equation for maximum efficiency, what you will do now, you will substitute alpha 1 minus alpha 2 minus phi is equals to 0. So cos of 0 is 1, cos of 0 is 1. So the equation for maximum efficiency is cos of theta plus phi plus 1 divided by cos of theta minus phi plus 1. कोणाला काय डाऊट? Very simple. So using this equation you can determine the maximum efficiency for spiral gears. So in order to find out the maximum efficiency of spiral gears, you need to know only the shaft angle and the amount of friction or friction angle. Okay? हे लक्षात ठेवा, असे प्रश्न MCQ मध्ये येऊ शकतात. झालं? Now we'll state the condition for maximum efficiency. So we have already written this, no need to write this again. So for maximum efficiency, this angle should be 0 in numerator. So alpha 1 minus alpha 2 will be equals to the friction angle phi. Correct? But we know that theta is equals to alpha 1 plus alpha 2. For our case, we have assumed that both the gears are having same hand of helix. So shaft angle theta is the sum of the spiral angles. मग याच्यावरनं काय करू शकतो आपण, अल्फा 2 in terms of shaft angle theta. अल्फा 2 is equals to theta minus alpha 1. हे याच्यामध्ये सबस्टिट्यूट करायचं. So what we get, alpha 1 minus in bracket theta minus alpha 1, it is the value of alpha 2. ब्रॅकेटच्या बाहेर काढल्यानंतर अल्फा 1 मायनस थीटा प्लस अल्फा 1 काय मिळेल तुम्हाला, ट्वाइस अल्फा 1 इक्वल्स टू थीटा प्लस फाय. So in order to get the maximum efficiency from a pair of spiral gears, you will choose the helix angle or spiral angle of the driving gear using this equation. Okay, so write down this equation. Alpha 1 is equals to theta plus phi by 2. करेक्ट. फक्त आपण हे दोन इक्वेशन सॉल्व केलेले आहेत. We have solved these two equations to get the value of alpha 1. Similarly, if you solve for alpha 2, you will get alpha 2 is equals to theta minus phi by 2. So please note down these two equations. आणि त्याच्या पुढे लिहायचं, this is the condition for maximum efficiency. So in order to get the maximum efficiency of spiral gears, you will design the spiral gears using these equations. You can decide the angle of inclination of tips of both the gears using this equation in order to get the maximum efficiency. So finally we have these four equations. First one is efficiency of spiral gears, second is maximum efficiency of spiral gears, and the condition for maximum efficiency.